Concession tapes.
Yeah. That celebration is everywhere, though.
It
right?
is, yeah. And here's the thing.
Crazy.
This is going to be a short one. This this may not go too long.
Yeah, it may not go very long. I gotta say, man, that beginning of that film was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And then she just eats, like she just peels the skin off her finger with her mouth. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
I thought she was imagining that.
Okay, for a second, I understand what you're talking about. Because in a way, I thought like maybe she was imagining it when after the title sequence. Mm-hmm. But no.
No. Here's the thing. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. The movie that we're watching.
Back up where? That's literally the beginning of the film.
I know, but like let's let them know what the film is.
Yeah.
Right?
Moxie's
the film that we're doing
currently smelling me, guys.
Yeah. So we got, if you hear little tippy taps, that's my dog. Girl, that's hot, you idiot.
Wow.
Okay. Anyway,
Great
it's a
parent.
fireplace.
Yeah.
And she's like, let me smell the flames.
She's exploring.
You're gonna burn your nose hairs off. Do dogs have nose hairs? Yeah, right? Because they gotta capture the smell.
I'm sure.
I don't know.
They don't capture smell with nose hair.
They do
filter. It filters out with nose hair. Nose hair filters out bad stuff that goes in your nose.
Like dust and shit.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Do dogs not have that?
No, I mean I don't know, but I'm not a big dog
Kimberly?
knowledgeable person.
I'm not a big dog either, but it's.
Don't you work with dogs, Kim?
Yeah, Kim should know
but
this.
I'm not a vet.
I did see that dogs.
You're not wrong. You're not
I did
wrong.
see that dogs actually, whenever they smell, they go 5 smells in, just like sniff, 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 and then 1 out, and then another sniff in. And the reason that they do that is not so that they can clear their smells. It's because the way that the air flows, whenever you sniff out, more air comes in behind that, and so they're getting new smells in. Does that make sense? So whenever they sniff out, it's just so that they can move the air.
It's like a
and
different
bring more.
side of the palate of
Yeah.
whatever. Wow, that's interesting.
It's crazy. A lot of things goes on in those noses of theirs.
Anyways, welcome Moxie to the podcast.
Yeah, Moxie. All right. Anyway, so the movie that we're watching today was
Bones and all.
Bones and All,
Bones and all.
directed by
Luke Guadagnino.
that guy. He is the same guy that directed,
Call Me by Your Name.
which also starred
Timothy Chalamet. Or Timoteo, as we
Uh-huh.
know him here at the podcast.
and
Timoteo.
alleged cannibal
Army Hammer.
Army Hammer. What a badass name, by the way. That
Army Hammer's got to be one of the greatest names ever.
is such a great name.
It's so bad though that whatever it's the controversy he's going through though because it's
Yeah.
just like Mike.
Pretty bad.
How do you come back from that?
From cannibalism?
Yeah,
You don't. I don't think you
yeah.
don't. But it's pretty bad, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
On the topic of cannibalism,
this is what this movie's about. The movie is about cannibalism.
I feel like it's a new take on being a vampire.
Okay, I can see that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it definitely was. Cause I don't. You know what's the craziest thing about this movie? For me, it just felt like, how many of these people are they out there?
Yeah.
Because they just kept finding each other. There's 4 in the movie,
Uh-huh.
and then there's a 5th one that isn't truly a cannibal, but he is like.
There's 5 in the movie,
There's 5.
if you include the mom.
Oh yeah, that's all right. The mom, which that was so fucked up.
Yeah.
Everything about this movie is fucked up.
Yeah.
And okay, so this is what I didn't appreciate about this movie. It's very confusing, and I think it's categorized as a horror film.
Okay.
Right? Can you double
I
check
don't know.
that,
Can
Kim?
you check that, Kim?
I think it's categorized as a horror film because when I rented it, I was like, okay, horror, which
Mm-hmm.
was I was not expecting because I think I didn't really watch the trailer, but I did
What
kind
did
of.
you think it was going to be?
I thought it was gonna be sort of like a
Like a romance?
Yeah,
Kind of
It's
like
a-
Call Me By Your Name?
It's a romance drama.
it's categorized as a romance drama. Why is it? When I rented it, it was categorized as horror. Which, if it's a romance drama, I'm okay with. I'm not
Oh,
okay
it
with.
changes your entire mind about the movie.
Not my entire mind, but I don't think it's a horror film because like if it's a horror film, and it's truly a horror film, like I felt like it was shot as a romance drama.
Okay, it says drama, horror, romance.
Okay, so
Drama,
that's
horror,
very
romance.
confusing. Okay,
That's
they
just
included all
throwing
of them.
comedy in there while you're at it. Might as well.
Yeah. I just felt like, man, it was very strange because it's Luca Guadagnino. You've seen Call Me by Your Name, and it's shot that way.
Yeah.
except with aspects of horror and like,
A lot of blood. There's a lot of blood.
oh my god.
It was also very.
Which I don't mind blood, but like
It's a
that
lot
was
of-
like pints and pints of blood.
Yeah.
It's very disturbing.
It was a lot. And so in this
Yeah.
movie, what's the main character's name, Kim? We just saw it
Lee?
not 2 hours ago.
Marin?
Marin.
Marin.
I
So,
love that name, I gotta say.
Marin?
I love that name. And I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, maybe I should name my little girl Marin, but like I never tell her that it's because of this film that I know that name.
You're gonna watch this cannibal movie.
Yeah.
Mika.
Why,
That's not very
why was my
good.
name Marin? Oh, I watched this movie about cannibalism and this girl like loved eating people.
Oh, the movie must be great. You can skip it.
Yeah, you don't have to
So
watch it.
here's the thing. I didn't love this movie. I didn't hate it,
Yeah, I agree. I agree. with
but I didn't love it. I think that it was very drawn out. And yeah, it was very
that. I didn't feel so much it was drawn out, but it's just I felt like each little, it felt more like an episode kind of thing. You know what I mean?
okay.
Like it felt more like there was less important parts than other parts.
Yeah.
And it was like little episodes, like little sections, like
Yeah.
part 1, part 2, part 3, rather than it being like a whole concept of a film.
That part where they meet those two strangers.
Yeah, I don't feel like that was needed.
And then there's a flashback in Lee's like dreams where he like kills the guy, right?
The thing is, I don't know if he killed him or not.
I don't know if it was his dream or not.
That's what was so confusing because that part came in later in the film. Like, not even like immediately after. I think
Yeah.
it was like, 20, 30 minutes passed in the film.
Yeah.
It was after she left him, I think, right?
Yeah. But the way that they left them, I thought there was gonna be more to that story.
It was so strange. Which, by the way, the actor, if you could look up Kim, what the name of that actor is, like, totally escapes me.
Who?
That actor that played that guy, those two cannibals, or one of them was the actor True Cannibal.
One was an eater, one of them wasn't. He was just a cannibal.
One of them was an eater.
That's what they call themselves. They call themselves eaters. Did you watch the movie?
I did watch the movie. There was a lot in that movie though.
They're
that-
called eaters. It's like the way that they call themselves vampires or werewolves or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah.
called eaters.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever caught that in the film. That happened multiple times. Wow.
Yeah, very beginning. The very first interaction with Sully, he said, "You're an eater, just like me." I'm like, "Oh, don't ever."
I
eat
don't think.
another
Wow,
eater."
that's very strange. I mean, I don't think I ever. Wow, that's very weird.
The first one is Michael Stolbarg,
Oh yes, him,
and then David Gordon Green.
Michael Stolbarg.
Stolbarg.
I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, sir. You're an amazing actor, and I've seen you. And there's a movie called Not a Single Man, but there's a movie. Oh man,
Very
he's in another. What's it called? Can you look that up? It's something about something a man. Anyways, he's amazing in that film too. And he's also he plays Timothy Chalamet's dad.
A serious man.
A serious man. Ah man, yes. He plays Timothy Chalamet's dad in Call Me by Your Name. I don't know if you recognize him.
Oh, I did not. I haven't seen Call Me by Your Name in a little bit.
I love that movie. I love that movie. I can't wait to review it or talk about it.
Spoiler alert.
It doesn't really matter. Anyways, that actor was it was an interesting choice. And like I know directors love working with like the same actors and I love the way he looked. Definitely was one of those things where I'm like, wow, like I didn't really recognize him until like I saw him like up close. But it was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Because he's so polished. I don't know if you remember Call Me by Your Name or him in Call Me by Your Name.
No.
Do you remember him, Kim? A little bit?
I remember the ending. I don't remember his acting. You remember him?
Yes.
He's a very polished man.
Yes.
Like he's very like, you know? And so I think that seeped through just a bit for me
Yeah.
in that character.
The thing that frustrates me about this movie is it started off so strong. You know what I mean?
You think it started off strong? Okay.
I think it started off really good. Because like I thought, I was already rating it, man. Like I was already like, okay, the voiceover from the dad is gonna carry out through the entire film.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a reveal towards the end. This is gonna be great. And then it's just like they stopped doing that within like the first 30 minutes.
It was, I know what you mean.
It had a great setup. It had a great setup to continue that on throughout the film, and like for him to be a recurring thing. And when we rate soundtracks, I was like, oh, this is gonna be like a 5 because you have an actor that was there for like the first 10 minutes of the film. he leaves, right? But we still have him on there, right?
Yeah.
And he's narrating the story, not to us, to the kid, right? And so like he's to me, Mirren,
Marin.
Marin, Jesus Christ. He's narrating Marin's story to her, right? But then to us at the same time. And I was like, that's awesome. That's great. We're gonna get some awesome, like almost like another character that's not really in the film anymore. And
Yeah.
so, but then they stopped. And then like I get it, I get why they did it, but like to me it was like whenever the film started, it started off with her I thought she had a crush on this girl, and then the girl shows the
Yeah.
nail polish, and she just starts eating her finger. No big deal.
Yeah, just no big deal.
And then like they come, you know, she comes home, the dad finds her, and then they have to move away. And they've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
Right? And this is kind of like the theme of the movie where they keep traveling and traveling. It's a travel movie. It's a travel
Yeah.
movie. And like I thought it started off with a strong note of like this is where this movie's heading, and I was excited for that ride. And guess what it did? It took us on a detour. And I think like I don't mind Timothée Chalamet. I like Timothée Chalamet, but like once he was introduced, to me the story got boring. It didn't really get any exciting.
Yeah, it didn't. I was really excited. And I think I'm gonna attribute it to like his first performance that we saw him in. Like, I think he was in Interstellar and like other stuff, obviously. And he did Lady Bird.
But like his breakout.
But his breakout film was obviously Call Me by Your Name, and that movie was so strong. Like, I think those characters. It's hard for me to like. He's kind of a scrawny kid, right? Or he is a scrawny kid, and well, he's our age.
We said we were not gonna body shame him. Kim and I was like, oh my god, he's so skinny, but we're not gonna body shame. He wants to be that skinny. He can be that skinny.
No, I think okay. First of all, I think it works. I think it works for him. Like I think he plays those roles very well, and he fits those roles. But like for example, like when he beat that guy up in the beginning, and the first guy he eats that he's introduced in the film, and he's like bullying him and blah blah blah. It's just like it's so hard to like truly understand or truly believe him, I guess.
Yeah.
When he's like, hey, don't talk to her that way or something like that, and he tries to like be the tough guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was kind of weird. I was like, oh, wasn't expecting that.
Leave it for Army Hammer, you know?
He what?
Leave it to Army Hammer to be the tough guy.
Army Hammer, yeah, he's kind of Army Hammer was more of a college fun dude. Have you read that book, by the way, the second book, To Call Me by Your Name?
I haven't read
There's a
it.
second book?
Yeah, there's a second book.
Oh, I didn't know.
You haven't read it?
I'm
What is it
still
called?
reading the first one.
Oh, okay.
What's
okay.
it called?
Find Me.
Find Me?
Yeah. It's very good. Okay, so pause.
Write it down?
You have to read the first one, definitely, and it's a weird thing. It's almost like it's like 3 stories, and it's not very well put together in the sort of the way Call Me by Your Name is, but it does give you more detail on what happens.
Oh, okay.
So it's years in the future, so I think you'll
Okay.
enjoy it.
I'll read it.
But anyways, where were we? Back to the. So that's the only thing
To
about it, I
Chalamet,
think.
yeah, you don't believe him.
That's the only thing about it. Like I think when you get to know, he's very good at getting intimate with people, you know, and I love him for that. I think those are amazing.
And I don't think me getting uninterested with the film was his fault. I think
No, I
it was
agree.
just, man, I'm such a like fan of like horror and like thrillers and all that kind of stuff that I saw where the film was going, right? The
Yeah.
potential of where it could have gone. And like I got excited for it.
Yeah.
And then it turned into like something different. And I was like, okay, this wasn't what I was expecting. This wasn't what I wanted, but it's not my film, right?
Yeah.
And so like the
I
introduction-
will say though, I think, and sorry to interrupt, but I think this film, it includes all those things, but it's a whole new thing. Like I've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
So like if you're a watcher that wants to experience something new, watch this film. Personally, I don't think it worked. Like I don't think those elements work together. They could work together.
Yeah.
And eventually probably there will be a director that would figure that out. I don't think it worked in this film because I think it was shot in the way Call Me by Your Name was, with aspects of. I think the director of The Menu would have been great for this like specific thing. So, and it's not that it was bad. It was a great it was a great film technical wise. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say? Like the technicalities of this film
Like, what do you mean?
were great. Like the way it was shot, the acting, like every aspect about it. You know what I mean? Like the way it wasn't like it wasn't an amateur film, if that makes sense. It wasn't like, oh, that's kind of weird, or that's poorly shot, or that, it wasn't anything like. It was a great film because like I think his vision is so strongly throughout the film. But because I feel Luca Guadagnino is a romantic, I think the moments of horror weren't horrific for me. They were just disturbing. They weren't.
Yeah.
They didn't make me feel scared. They made me feel like just. I think that's
Put
the right
off.
word. They made me feel like off. Yeah, just like
Yeah.
kind of like disturbing. And so that's why I don't think they worked well. I don't think they worked well together.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, the only horror film, it wasn't even, yeah, I guess it was horror, was like the only that they really got me, like, at the edge of my seat was like the last scene with Sully. Like, that was the only one that I was like, okay, this one was actually pretty tense.
yeah,
It's pretty good, but that was only one scene. Like, everything else was just like, okay, you know? And like, there were some great moments in that last scene. Like, I really did like a lot of like the moments in that last scene. I didn't like when it got romantic because it didn't fit. I don't know. It didn't fit.
it's just weird.
It's a weird puzzle to put together, right? And so like the tension of like Sully being so close to her and like having the knife up to her, and then Timothy coming in and he gets stabbed and like all this other stuff. And then afterwards they realize that he got his sister and he had his sister's ponytail
Yeah.
in his collection. That's a great moment. But
Yeah,
then like
that
it goes
was-
to like, eat me first, eat me. I'm like, come on.
Yeah,
bro.
that
Like,
was weird. Yeah, I didn't expect it to go that way. Yeah, it just out of place.
It's out of
It's
place,
out of
man.
place. And I'm not saying it can't be done. Like, I'm not gonna say anything can't be done because we saw what Jordan Peele did.
Yeah.
I think The Menu was also great with like aspects of like I didn't even think The Menu was a horror film until like I watched it.
Yeah.
You know, because like it's a weird film. Like it's like how is that like if you take out all like the horror aspects, like the true like vision of it, like the suicide and all that stuff, like it's still shot in a way it's horror and it makes you feel uneasy.
Yeah.
But this film it's just weird, you
It's
know?
just weird, man. It was a weird puzzle to put together. Is there any other scenes that you want to talk about at all?
I mean, and even the mom scene was so disturbing.
It was.
So the
yeah.
mom basically tried to like clench her thirst. I guess that's not the right word. Clench her
desire to
Thank you. Her desire to eat people by eating her hands.
Yeah.
So then when she finally sees her, she doesn't have any hands, and she's fucking nuts. And she's on this medication, and she's in this chair, and she just keeps looking at her, and then she reads this note, and then once she finishes the note, she literally attacks her daughter. And I just felt so uneasy by that scene.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know, just because I will say this movie is very unpredictable. So that's one good thing about it.
It is, but
Like
here's the thing. It's very unpredictable. I don't think it's in a good way. I don't think it's unpredictable in a good way. Like the thing with the mom is just like, as an audience member,
Yeah.
you're trying like, I don't know. You feel like, and I feel like also, Marion also had this thought where like you thought going to the mother would solve something.
yeah.
It didn't. It went nowhere. It went nowhere. Her visiting her her grandmother,
Her grandmother,
I guess.
which we find out isn't really her grandmother.
Yeah.
Because she was adopted.
Yeah, she was adopted.
The mom.
Right? And then finding out that her mother's alive and going somewhere like, oh, okay, great. We're going to get a great payoff. And then we get there and it's just like, I'm going to eat you.
Yeah.
It's just like, what? Like, and then they leave. And then they just like, go like, okay, well, let's just go back. And
Yeah.
It's just like, what is this movie doing? Like, why? Like, at that point, like, why? Like, it is unpredictable.
It is so
but
unpredictable.
I don't think it's in a good way. I think it's just in a way where it's just confusing and like,
Yeah. It doesn't
I
follow,
hate talking shit about movies.
but
This
it's
is the
not
thing.
talking shit because I just think it's not that it just doesn't follow a structure in like I feel, you know?
Like it doesn't follow like a structure that has been done before, and that's a good thing, right? Because
Okay.
it's not a movie that has been done before, like you said.
No, like yeah.
This has never been done before, and I commend it for like trying and like getting out of the box and thinking about something new. That's fucking great. We need that more, right? Um, but yeah, I feel like that was also one of its like detriments because like I think that once it got to the point where like there should have been an arc, some kind of story arc, right? There
Yeah.
should have been some kind of beginning, middle, and end. And it's just kind of like all over the place. And like a lot of movies are like that. But like this one, I don't know.
I think
I had higher hopes for it.
I think for me, maybe the story isn't necessarily the problem. And I don't want to bash him because I don't want to say his directing is bad, but I think he went back to what he knows. It's like you say, like the first 10 minutes, like the opening of the film is
Yeah.
great. You're like, oh my God, it's going to be amazing. But I think if he would have stuck more with horror, with little moments of his genre, which is, you know, romance and all that stuff, drama, I think it could have been good. I just don't think it ever settled on a tone for the movie.
Yeah.
And he went back to what he knew, which
Back and
was
forth and
that
back
"Call
and
Me by Your
forth.
Name" kind of aspect of heartbreak, and which was great. I love that movie, but this movie was not that movie,
Yeah.
and I think maybe he felt lost in certain moments of directing it or in the editing room with the editor, and so he went back to those romance because. One great thing, and I don't remember exactly at what point this was, but there was like this soft music. You know what
I
I'm
think
talking
they were in
about?
the hill, right?
I think
When they're
so.
talking about Lee's dad and what Lee did to the dad.
Yes, that's it. Because at the moment he said, "Then I fucking ate him," it went to
Yeah.
this. Oh my God,
That part was great.
I got
really
chilled.
love that
I
part.
got chilled. Yeah, that was amazing.
And then it lasted for like 3 seconds, and then went back to romance.
Yeah, it went back
And,
to
like,
romance.
That's what
And
I'm
that's okay
saying.
though. That's okay if it went back to romance, like for me, because that was a romantic, you know. But I would say that scene as itself, it was good. But I just wish the movie maybe had more aspects of horror.
Yeah.
Here or there. I just don't think I don't think it was bad filmmaking.
It's hard to mix.
I
those
just
two
think
things.
yes, and I think he did it beautifully there. And I think if he would have, I don't know at what time or he saw that in the process of editing the film. But I think if he would have watched that first, I think he maybe would have understood like, oh, maybe this is what I need to do. You know, because if it would have been horror throughout, and then we would have had that little moment of like romance and drama, and then he went back to it, and then back to the romance and drama, I think it would have been great. I think she's making herself comfortable. But regardless, I think that movie that moment was so beautiful, because it was done so right. And I think that's what people expected from the film. And I think that's what he was trying to go for. And I'm not bashing him for trying new things because I think that, I mean, this movie definitely was exciting when I rented it and I was like, oh, it's horror. But then you're like, oh, it's Luca Guadagnino. Interesting. Let's see what that's like.
Yeah.
And I encourage directors to like think outside the box and go out of their comfort zone. Like I think it's great, and that's how you find interesting things. Especially like you think about Jordan Peele. Comes from comedy and this huge thing, and all of a sudden he's like, I love horror, and people were like, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Then he comes out with Get Out, and you're like, oh, you're not crazy.
Yeah. I don't think this movie was a fail. Like I don't think.
No,
this
I don't think so
movie
either. Yeah.
Is something that I think he was trying in public. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah, I know
he
what
was
you
trying
mean.
something new in public, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's great. There are some notes, of course, like it's not gonna be perfect. And so like that's the only thing. But that as an audience member, right? Like maybe he had a whole another explanation for it of like why this movie, because like that's what I was thinking too, of like how the story was so up and down for me, where it was like we thought the mom had answers, came back, she had nothing. Cool, go on, right? And then we go back. Like maybe this is what the character was feeling, right? Like the character thought the mom was gonna have answers, and then after she didn't, go back to square one, right? And so like maybe there was an ulterior motive to all of that. But I don't know. I don't think it didn't work for me fully, but like some aspects of it were like great. Like there were some things. I'm not the biggest fan of when movies go to like artsy with like their cinematography. Does that make sense?
Really?
Like whenever I'm not the biggest fan of it. Like when
I love
movies like are shot in film for no reason. This isn't one of those, by the way. I thought this was well done because like the setting and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like whenever they shoot in film just for the sake of shooting in film, you know, and like shit's grainy and like it's like not perfect. I'm not the biggest fan because like unless it's like some kind of like very specific reason why you're doing it, it's just a gimmick, you know?
I have a interesting little side note about that.
What?
Shooting on film. So this all came from talking to my cousin again. Shout out to my cousin Abraham.
Abraham?
So he's getting into like film photography or like shooting on film.
Okay.
And he wants to kind of like get into like videography but shoot just on film.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things he mentioned was like, it's so hard. He was scared too. He's like, it's so hard to just do it with photography because you have to think about the lighting and it doesn't look the same. Like what you see in person does not look the same in the camera. Like you have to figure out the settings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easier to do it on a video cam. And I remember I told him, I was like, you're crazy, bro. Just shoot on video. You're fine. Like, don't worry about it. Like, it'll help you adjust and all that crap. And then I went home and I thought about it. And it made sense with me why people shoot on film. Like, maybe not so much like it's a grainy and like, yes, they're capturing a moment of life because film is capturing pictures and then playing them back, right? So I don't quite understand that, maybe because I didn't come from it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do understand in the sense of just working on your craft. To shoot on film is going to make you way better than shooting on digital because you have to think about everything and you have to figure out things. And like, it's fine if you want to go back to video. Like, I'm not saying like you have to stick to just film and blah, blah, blah. But I think the way to learn this craft, I think it is learning it by shooting film because you don't have, like, if you don't shoot correctly or you don't know what you're doing or you don't know how to shoot this, you don't know how to get this lighting or whatever,
having the fanciest camera is not going to help.
It's not going to do anything. And when you have the fancy camera and you want to do something, you're not going to know how to do it because you haven't experienced that yet because you haven't been on that film.
I completely agree. But this isn't somebody learning. This is somebody that already knows their shit.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And so like I don't know, like this movie isn't what I'm talking about. There's been other movies that I've seen before that just shoot in film, just for the sake of shooting in film.
Yeah.
Set in present day has nothing to do with like, you know, the magic of film and like
cinema
the colors. The colors aren't even vibrant. Like it's just like they just shot a film for the sake of shooting in film because it's in, right? Like it's just a trend. And so this movie didn't do that. I forgot what the fuck I was going with this. You cut me off. Talk about Abraham. Abraham, I'm gonna have you on the podcast. But like it's
Sorry.
No, I forgot where I was going with this. But damn, what was I doing?
You were saying, I mean, I just remember that you were saying that you just hate people shooting on film for the sake of shooting on film.
I didn't say I hated people. I said I don't like it when people do that just for no reason.
Don't put words in my mouth.
Oh, I don't like artsy, like too artsy.
Oh,
shots
yes.
For no reason. You know, like I don't like when like I don't know, some cinematographers get like super like trigger happy when it comes to like, you know, like shots that are considered artsy, like I don't know, like breaking the norm.
Mm-hmm.
But then they have no point. And this movie did have some of that. Did have some of those shots where I was like, why is this shot like this for no reason, right? Like,
okay,
it had a lot of zoom ins. It had a lot of like
there was
pans and tilts, and it's just like
there was slight zoom ins. I don't remember exactly what scene it was, but you could barely tell that they were pushing in. And the only reason I knew they were pushing in was because it was like on the edge of a table, and like that from where the frame was and the table ended, it was getting smaller. Yeah. But you couldn't even really tell.
Yeah. And to me, like sometimes like that's done on purpose. Like whenever you use a telephoto lens or like you use a lens that is like pushing in on somebody, it's usually to convey a certain feeling, right? Like that's why, like that's the art of cinematography. So like, what are you trying to convey? let's use the
Yeah.
right tools to make that happen in all aspects: lighting, cinematography, acting, directing. All aspects have to come together into one thing. And so, like, usually when that's happening, when somebody uses a telephoto lens from behind and like they're zooming in, like it usually conveys something like somebody's looking at them, somebody's stalking them, somebody's whatever.
Yeah.
But this movie had nothing to do with that, unless it was Sully.
It's Sully. I just remember that scene. I loved when Shani made me feel so uneasy. The bus scene, when she hops onto the bus, and then the bus is like on this bridge, and there's like under a river, and it's shooting up, and I think they're zooming in, and it's shot, and I think on a long lens.
See, that would make it a little bit better.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out because it reminds me of a film, but I can't remember what shot or what film it is. And I think it's a Stanley Kubrick. I think it's probably in The Shining, a Stanley Kubrick film. But I can't remember what shot specifically that is. I think it's a car, and it's shot in that same. I know it's the same lens. I don't know much about lenses or what you're. That's more your side of stuff. But I know it's shot in the same way that was shot, and it made me feel so uneasy. And I think it is Sully, because Sully follows her the entire time.
That is true.
Sorry,
That's
that
what-
realization
This
got
is
me
this is one of
fucked
the
up
things
right now.
that I like about doing podcasts like this, right?
It got me
That
fucked
it's
up, man. That's crazy.
The more that you think about it,
Yeah.
and the more you talk about it, then you realize things like that. And so, like, if that's the case, cool. Then it did have a purpose, And like that's why I was like, there's some moments that just felt weird,
Yeah.
But like now knowing the ending, yeah, it could have been because of that. But
But I want to say fuck that bitch though, man.
who?
Marin.
Why?
How's she gonna leave my boy Timothy Chalamet just sitting there in the car? I'm gonna get gas. Then she just runs off.
That's all you know how to do. That's
Ah.
all that everybody in that movie does. Everybody, whenever the tough gets tougher, they fucking run. The mom did it. The mom's mom did it. The dad did it.
Yeah.
Timothy Chalamet's dad was gonna do it supposedly, but then he ate him.
He
and,
ate
like,
his dad.
It's just yeah.
Can you bring your microphone closer?
You want me to like just sit closer?
Yeah, because you sound so far.
Okay.
It was so wild when we found out that he ate. For me, it was like, oh, I ate my dad. I'm like,
Oh, I didn't think.
I
I
didn't
was one of two. I was like either he ate his dad, or his dad is Sully. Like those were the only two options.
oh, I didn't
to
even
me.
think about his dad being Sully.
I did, because I was like, this motherfucker is alone. The only thing that threw me off was like when he was talking about being alone. Sully was talking about being alone whenever he followed her. Then I was like, oh, maybe he's been alone for a while. This should just happened 4 years ago. So I was like, maybe that's not it. But then I was like, okay, then probably he ate his dad somehow. Like something happened and he ate his dad, or his dad didn't eat her too, and like he like left to like start
Yeah.
eating people, And so like,
I didn't even think about that, about him eating him though.
yeah, and so like I don't know, it was a good movie to watch once.
Yeah. You know what I didn't notice right now though? I feel like what was how do I explain this? What was well done about it was following Sully's story, because at no point did I not trust Sully. For me, he was kind of a weird dude, and I understand that. But I feel like, why don't you trust Sully? He's trying to help you.
Yeah,
And I remember when he pulled up in the van right after she leaves Lee, and he says hi or blah blah blah, and he basically invites her to come with him, and she's like, I can't go with you because I don't trust you. And I was like, this bitch. I was like, how do you not trust Sully?
yeah.
Like,
And then
he's
Sully
such a
started
nice
saying, "Fuck
guy."
you."
And
I
then
was like, yeah, fuck you.
then when he said all those things, I was like, okay, well, he's kind of childish.
Yeah, and they were like,
He's-
you cunt. I was like, oh, well, hold up, Sully.
Yeah, I was like, hold up, Sully.
Hold on,
Hold on.
goddamn.
But you're angry. I get it. Like, maybe you're not all mentally there,
Yeah.
clearly. But it did
want a
seem to
friend.
me, like, how do you not trust Sully? Like, maybe he needs, like, for me, it was like, maybe he needs a mother figure. Like, Sully needs a mother. And, like, he saw that as, like,
Or he needs somebody to take care after, because like he said it. He was like, you're around my daughter's age. If I had one, I was like, what the fuck?
oh, that
I was like, Sully, what are you saying?
yeah, he was kind of crazy. I love that, because
Yeah.
there was just a slight pause. Like, you're
Yeah.
around my daughter's age. If I had one. I'm like, oh.
All right,
Okay,
you fucking creep. Because I
He's
was
maybe
like,
not
okay,
as trustable as I thought.
that makes sense. I was like, oh, because it's about his daughter's age. That makes sense. Like, if he
Yeah.
had one, oh, so he doesn't have a daughter.
Yeah.
He's just
I was
pretending
like,
that he does.
that was so funny to me. It's like,
Yeah.
why would you say that? That's like, creative writing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I thought that was genius to put in there, and
Yeah.
it was funny because it was like he is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But I think for me, going back to what I was saying, I think the movie did it well on that, like making me believe in Sully and distrust her.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the things she was doing, and then at the end, that whole thing happens with Sully, and I'm like, oh,
So fucking crazy.
so Sully is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I definitely felt more bad for Sully, but I think the movie intentionally did that.
Mm.
You know, made you feel sorry for what Sully was going through.
Oh shit! Am I doing the Skip Bayless? Oh no!
How about them Cowboys? Sorry.
Goddamn right! I watched it this morning, bro.
I know. I don't even watch
Let's
it
move on
anymore.
to the rating. Let's move on to the rating.
Okay, let's go on to the rating. Yeah.
Okay, so what's number one, Kimberly?
Story.
Story. Story for me, I'm gonna give it a 2.
That too.
Story didn't go anywhere. Story was good. It started off strong.
Yeah.
It started in the middle of everything, and it was like good, right? And then it just faded into like if it was, not that it wasn't thought out, but it had no resolution.
Yeah, just a piece. And I mean,
It was just all over the place.
I'm gonna give it a 3, and for me it's a 3 because one, I am a little biased towards stories with just a guy and a girl, like finding their way. I
Yeah,
don't know
girl and
why.
an old man trying to kill him.
Yeah, just.
Mwah.
I don't know why I'm biased. I love those. I love movies like that when
Uh-huh.
like two people are discovering each other
Yeah.
and themselves, but also like one another.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this movie. This is why I was so excited to watch this movie. I was like, I know what this movie is. I didn't know what this movie was. So I'm gonna give it a 3 because of that. I am a little biased, but I do think
It's 1 is what? 1 is not so good, right?
I know.
0 is nothing at all. It's just like it wasn't even irrelevant. 1 is not so good. 2 is okay.
It was good, very good, great.
3 is good.
I think it's.
4 is really good, and then 5 is like out of this fucking world.
I'm still gonna give it a 3 though because I don't think the
It's
story
good.
had anything. Because I think
So you thought
about.
the story was good.
I think the moments that
Answer my
disturbed
question.
me.
You think the story was good?
Wait, I'm trying to explain it because I'm trying to figure it out for myself. I think the story was good. I just think that it's hard to think it was good because there was moments of.
Confusion.
Well, it was more about there was moments of that you just felt like,
Nothing.
no, bro. Jesus Christ, how do you deal with him all fucking day?
I just didn't think. I don't think the story was very good. I think the story. I
Okay.
don't think the story went anywhere. I don't.
But
I
I
don't
feel
really-
like the movies that we watch don't like the stories don't really go anywhere sometimes. But
That's- and
because they
that's
have great
fine.
acting
But
and great
there's-
directing.
there's
And
like-
this is how this movie felt.
But there's like progression in the characters, right? And we got like a fucking second of progression in the character at the end where they were like, let's just
Yeah.
live life. Let's just live life. Okay, let's live life. And then fucking Sully comes back and then the story goes back to the same thing and then they die. And it's just like didn't go. There was no growth in them, I think.
Okay, that's a good.
There's no growth at all.
Put a fucking 2 down. Jesus Christ, it's a fucking 2.
No,
Alright.
you can give it whatever you like. I just don't agree. You know, I don't.
Yeah, I
don't
get
agree
you.
because to me the story didn't go anywhere.
I
with
just
nobody.
I get what you're saying, but I would have loved to see the film. If the film would have worked, I think the story you would have categorized the story as better. That's my way. That's why I
Maybe.
think I'm like
Yeah,
I think
you're
if I take out everything, that's why for me it's a 3. Just strictly focusing on story.
Still 2. But okay, so let's go back. I'm happy for the dad, bro. Good that he just got out.
Get the- she
He was
turned
like, "Look,
18,
my
yeah.
job was to take you to 18. You are 18. You are out of my hands. Like
Yeah.
you did enough. You did too much. All right.
Yeah, she did it.
So I'm happy for him. I hope he's doing good.
Yeah, I
hope he's
felt like
doing
he was
good
a
married.
dick, but then I was like, no, he wasn't a dick.
No, bro.
I think he knew, and
He's been doing this shit all his
yes,
life.
yes, but also he knew because of the mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I do wish though that they would have said to the mother?
What?
I wish she would have like before the mother started eating. I mean, obviously the mother didn't give her a chance to say anything because once she finished the fucking thing, she almost wanted to started eating her. But I just wish because in the note it said I know you're here because your father told you about
Told
me.
you about me, yeah.
And I was like, but he didn't.
Yeah,
and
I
I
know.
just fucking wish you could have been like, I'm here because he didn't tell me about you. And I
Yeah.
wanted to find out about you. And
Yeah.
I found you.
See, that would have been cool.
It would have been so
I
cool.
guess what didn't happen.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It's-
To me, the story stays at 2. You can keep it at a 3. We can. Kim, what do you think? What did you think of the story?
I'd give it like 2.5.
2.5. Look at that.
It's
Yeah,
like
hey.
it's a good concept, but I really do like live up.
Good
to it.
concept, but
Yeah,
like,
good
what?
concept.
How did the movie perform? You know, like that's the thing. Like you said, like if the movie would have worked, would have been a 3,
Yeah.
right?
So that's what I'm trying to separate it from. Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. So like, how did it actually perform? Because to me, since it didn't really perform too well, like in terms in
But
my
it's-
eyes. And by the way, this has a higher. Like, remember when I told you the menu had a higher critic rating than it had an audience rating? This is the same thing too, where the audience rating is at about a 60 something. So audiences didn't really like it too much, but the critics gave it like an 82, I believe,
Really?
82%. Yeah. And so it's a little bit higher on the critic side. And I didn't read any reviews. I just saw it while I was like.
I
looking
can
up
see
the
why
movie.
on this movie. I don't really see it on the menu.
Yeah.
Like I don't see why on the menu the critics rated it higher than the audience. Like I don't know how you were.
No.
Vanessa watched the menu, by the way,
Uh-huh.
and she was like, "This movie is amazing."
Really?
Yeah, she fucking
Cool.
loved it. And then you know what? You know why she watched it? Because if I tell her she won't watch it, she'll be like, "Oh, that's whatever." So I stopped. But she watched it because she saw a TikTok about it,
Oh.
and they put that scene with the, cause she loves all that gossip shit, and she's like tortillas. He's like, "These are tortillas."
Oh yeah.
And she loved that pettiness. I was like, I need to watch this film. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. No, it's a good part.
Anyways, but yeah, I don't know. I understand it on this film though, like, cause critics mostly rate like the
The
technical
arty shit.
side and the
Yeah.
art and the performance and.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways,
Yeah. So, what was the same before that? Before I brought up the rating? Oh, how did the movie perform? Like with everything. Yeah, to me, that's why to me it's a 2, because it didn't really go anywhere. Like it didn't feel like the movie did it too much justice. Like it didn't
Yeah.
do the story of what it could have been justice. You know, like.
but
you
I don't
said.
think that's part of the story. For me, that's why it's a 3. I don't think that's the fault of the story. I think it's the fault of like everything.
Oh, I think
around
it's the
it.
opposite, because I don't think the directing had anything to do with it. Because I think the directing of it, like, in my eyes, if you have a story, you can tell it different ways. But like,
Yeah.
the thing is, like, if the story calls for it to go nowhere, and with the mom and everything like that, how do you direct your way out of that? You
I
know
get
I
what
mean?
you're saying, but I feel, especially with Luca Guadagnino's directing,
I get
He's
what you're
trying to-
saying.
you know what I
Is
mean?
he the writer too? Did he write it?
I don't think he writes his stuff.
Okay.
He made. Can you check that? Because I mean, Call Me by Your Name was
Did
a
he
book,
write it?
but I
Did he
don't
write
remember
the
if he.
movie?
I don't know if he adapted it, but even then, you know. But for him, his style of directing is more like, this is a moment in your life, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
even if you think about Call Me by Your Name, was kind of like that in a way too, because like you know,
What else has he directed? Has he directed anything else?
I mean,
Why
he-
did I just mumble? What
I
else
don't
has he
know.
directed? Is he
I
directed
have no
anything else?
idea. I have no idea, but I know he did Call Me by Your Name. But he's. I mean, he's probably done more things before. I mean, he's kind of old too, so.
Who directed Lady Bird?
Greta Gerwig. She also directed what's the name of that movie?
Because that also seemed like the same
Little
kind
Women.
of concept.
Little Women's the name of that movie. Yeah, Timothy.
That also
Chalamet
seemed
also.
like the same kind of concept.
Is screenplay the same thing as writer?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
So it depends because he could have.
it's adapted. So
Where
like,
does it
you
say?
could-
On IMDb, it should say like story by blah blah blah. And then if it's adapted by him, it should be screenplay.
Yeah. So like a screenplay is somebody that writes something based out of something else.
Yeah, so the guy that wrote,
Adapts it.
I can't remember the writer of Call Me by Your Name, but he's credited as the story. And then Luca Guadagnino, if he adapts him, would be credited as screenplay writer.
So this book is actually a novel, or the movie is actually a novel.
I was like, what?
Sorry.
That is true. I did see that it was a book, so yeah, he didn't write it.
I didn't know.
Clearly.
That. Okay.
Yeah,
But-
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, David Gajanish. This is one that screenplayed it. I don't know how to pronounce this.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I want to read that book. Because
You
in
know
Call Me
what?
by Your
Yeah.
Name. Okay, I have a quick question about Call Me by Your Name. and I know we're gonna get to that, and we're not there yet.
Okay.
Do you think in the movie, and you've read the book or in the book?
I read half of the book.
I read half of the book. Okay. Do you think he's gay, or do you think he's bi? Timothy Chalamet's character.
I don't think I have enough context
Okay. Well,
to determine. I would think he's gay.
I thought he was gay. I'm just gonna put it out there. I thought he was gay. I'm like, he is finding out he's gay. He doesn't like the
Such a
girl.
Fluid.
He's very fluid. Cool. All that's fine. The thing is that when I read Call Me by Your Name, he's fucking bi.
Yeah.
He likes that girl. Like really likes that girl. And it doesn't show it in the film. So that's why I was like, I need to read Bones and all, because sometimes it'll change your whole perspective of things.
Because you know what? I'm actually very interested in that. Like, if you read it, tell me how it differs. Because, like, what if there's more? Like, if there's more horror aspect to it, then yeah, I agree with you that the story wasn't the culprit. It was the directing of it. Because yeah, it could be that there's more to the story that we haven't, like, we weren't exposed to because
Yeah.
we were focused on the romance between them two.
Yeah.
And so, like, I guess, let me know how that goes. I'm not very much of a reader.
No, that's cool. I'll read it.
I don't have a lot of time.
But definitely, yeah. I mean, for people that like watch Call Me by Your Name, and then they want to read, it's literally gives you more context. But it's like kind of in the same, like they have the same vision for the way they view the world.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and that's why I asked about Lady Bird, because Lady Bird, it's kind of like the same thing, where it's like it's just a little chapter of her life, and then
Oh yeah,
move
that
on,
is true.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
So, cool.
But-
Okay, so story. We gotta settle at
I'm gonna give it a
2.5?
3 because yeah, we can settle on 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
2.5 for the story. And what's the second one, Kim?
Beauty.
The
Beautifulness.
beauty.
The beautifulness of the film.
It was, to me, it was okay. It wasn't. There was some frame. I remember when I told you, Kim, when we were watching it. I was like, that frame right there. That's beautiful.
Oh, can I mention something that I remember when you were talking about the weird shots?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when they were at the diner? They were having dinner. It was like right after they met, and they were like eating breakfast.
Okay.
And then she brought the bacon and everything.
Uh huh.
And there was a moment because she was shot like directly,
Uh huh.
and we were like viewing her in this, but he was shot like in different angles.
Uh huh.
And then we were like feeling that she was getting to know him. And there was one specific shot that I thought was genius because I'd never seen anything like that before, where he like tracks his arm like from the hand and then goes to the elbow and then up a little bit and then back to like half of his face. And it reminded me of like when you're like, Jesus, when you're having dinner with somebody, or when you meet somebody new that you like and you're discovering new things about them, and you do look at their arms and like what that's like. So I thought that was really intimate and cool. I don't know if you saw that or
People usually look something like this the entire time. I'm just like, so.
like the fucking guns.
What do you?
Sir. Sorry, Kim. Forgot it.
No, but yeah, there were some shots, man. I remember there was this very beautiful shot, in my opinion, that was just like the sun was at the right place, and then he was like looking to the top right corner of the screen, and there was something else in the other third, and it was just like he was like set on the right third, and it was just like, ah, I was like, wow, that's a painting right there. Like if we were to like, we have in our room, we have 6 frames with 6 of our favorite movies, and like 1 frame to represent each of the movies, right?
Yeah.
So it's like still pictures. And I was like, if that movie was good enough to be on this wall, this would be like that would be the frame I would choose, because I believe he had blood on his mouth, in his mouth, and he had like blood, and there was like the sunset was just beautiful, and there was like something else in the background. I believe it was the truck was in the background. I'm not
Probably.
entirely sure what it was. It was a great shot. I was like, oh, right there, that's the one. And so like it had some beautiful shots.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Wait, what do you give it? What do you rate it?
I don't know.
Because I kind of, and this is going to kind of sound crazy, but I really like the way the film looked.
A lot.
I think so.
I was gonna give it like a 3.5 or a 4.
I was going to give it a 4. That's why I was like, you're going to be surprised by what I'm going to give it.
I'll bump it up to a 4 because I didn't realize what you were saying. And so like if it does it like that, then yeah, that's intentional of like getting to know somebody like that. And like there was another moment that now that I'm remembering of like somebody was saying something. We're horrible at this. Somebody was saying
the
something
fucking
about not being able to see somebody, or like hiding in the shadows, or something like that.
So you're growling?
Can you hear that? Can you hear a little nose? Somebody was saying, hold on, let me fix it before I start talking again. Somebody was saying something about hiding in the shadows or not being able to see somebody.
Yeah.
I think it was like somebody like came up from behind or something like that. I forgot what it was. It was towards the end of the movie. But I remember at the beginning of the movie, when Sully was introduced, I didn't even see him. It was just a super wide shot.
There was 2 shots. Yes.
Yes.
There was one. I didn't see him. And then I was like, what is she looking at?
Kim had to go like, is that Timothée Chalamet? And I was like, where? And I was like,
yeah.
and then he finally started walking. I was like, oh, that over there? Like that little ass man?
I thought it was Timothée Chalamet, yes. And then I was like, why did they dress that motherfucker up like Charlie Chaplin?
And then
I swear to God.
And they started talking. I was like, oh, this motherfucker's gonna have an accent. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, this already starting off in the bad foot. But then like, and then I remembered like now the scene. Somebody was saying something. We'll put the clip in right here. Somebody's saying something.
You put the clip in.
I'll find it. I'll send it to you.
Okay, yeah.
But somebody was saying something about like, oh, like it's, you know, it come out of nowhere. Like you can't really hear them or something like that.
Right.
And I was like, maybe that was intentional. That was intentional. That you weren't able to find them until you started moving, you know? Mm-hmm. And so like, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I think we could settle on a 4 for the beauty of this film.
Yeah, 4 is very good. Yeah, and it's just beautiful to watch. I think like it makes you like the way when you look at it. It just for me it makes me feel in love. You know what I mean? I don't know why, but when I watch this film, it's just and it's anything that. Well, I'm not gonna say anything because I haven't watched this other film, but like Call Me by Your Name, like you watch that thing, and I don't know if you get like I just feel in love watching it. He has like a special thing for this film. For me, it's like wow. So I think it's very beautiful. And I think it always seeps through, like the way things look. So, yeah, it's a 4 for me. It's
4 for me.
Next.
Mm-hmm.
Soundtrack.
I think also a 4 for me.
Oh, we'll go lower.
Because I think
there were some moments where the audio was cool. I again.
Well, you know what? No, not a 4. 3. For me 3. Maybe it's a little high for you, but there was moments where the audio what?
Wait, I said 3. You said 4 or 3?
I said 4, but no, I think 3 is.
Yeah.
3 is right.
Okay, so there were some moments where like it was just the piano part, you know, and I just kept repeating, and like, every time the piano would start, I'd get bored.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it just got to the point of like, it's kind of like, you know how you train a dog, that whenever my dog Moxie, whenever Kim would commute back to the house, right, she would FaceTime me. Mm-hmm. And then whenever she would get home, she would hang up.
Right.
And my dog got trained that whenever the doo-doo sound of FaceTime sounded, somebody was home, right? And it was always Kim. And so like she would like get up, and like now to this point, I don't know, I don't think I have my phone with me. But next time whenever Kim comes back and Moxie comes back, Kim, can you hand me my phone? Is my phone over there somewhere? Am I tripping? You see the focus?
I know there's somebody here.
You stressed her out.
So, just like that, I got trained that whenever I hear the piano, some romantic show is gonna happen, and I wasn't gonna be into it, and it's just gonna whatever. And so like but it was the same piano, and so like to me like that was very repetitive, which is fine, that's fine. And like there were moments of brilliance, there were moments of like, damn, I really love this, right? that moment where he was like, where he was talking about his dad, and that music just swelled whenever he said that he fucking was so thrilled about it.
Yeah.
That was great, right? The moment at the beginning when like his dad, when Marin's dad was like narrating her story, but he wasn't around anymore. I thought that if it would have carried on through the rest of the film, would have been fucking fantastic,
Right.
right? Because it would have just filled those moments. You said before we recorded, there was a lot of moments of silence and a lot of moments of nothingness, and there were a lot of moments where we were just waiting for them to get somewhere, or
Yeah.
we were just like there with them, and I'm like, I'm bored. I wanna do something, right?
I
And
don't
that's
know if
what
I
this movie
ever.
didn't do. This movie didn't have a lot of dopamine shots. You know what I mean? There's some movies
Right.
that have a lot of like exciting shit happen, and this didn't happen. And that's not a bad thing, but like I feel like if they would have been filled with something meaningful, like the dad, or like just have more moments of that, that would have had the story be a little bit more complete to me, Because I feel like we got glimpses of it, we got teased about it, and then nothing happened. And then like I wish we would have gotten some kind of feelings from the dad, right?
Right.
Like, hey, dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm leaving you. I just can't. You know what I mean? I'm sorry that like this is the way it is. I just can't do it anymore. Like this is first your mom, now you. Like it's a lot for me. I'm just a normal fucking guy trying to get by.
Yeah.
We gotten something like that. Maybe it was at the end of the tape. We didn't get to hear it. You know?
Yeah, she destroyed the tape too.
Exactly. And so it's like, I get why he did tell her to destroy the tape, but we didn't get to hear it. And I feel like it could have been like a really great addition to the film.
Yeah.
And so like it started off well to me. There were some moments of brilliance, but there was a lot of moments of silence where like it didn't really add anything to the film to me. But I think those moments of brilliance, those slight
Lighthearted moments.
yeah, I think that's what made it.
I think that's what like kind of fooled me because I remember when I was watching, I was like, I think I'm gonna give this a 4 for the soundtrack.
Me too. At the beginning, yeah. Me too.
No, not even at the beginning. Like for me, it was like I guess that moment we talked about where he talks about his dad, and there was like little moments out throughout where I was like, yeah, this is definitely like the music has to do with something, or the soundtrack is like a different character or another character in the film. And that question always comes up now for me. It's like, is this another
Yeah.
character? But I think, yeah, there was, now that I'm thinking back at it, in the moment, yes, but now I just like, I can't think of anything except that moment, in the beginning
Yeah.
was cool too, but. So I don't know, I kind of want to knock it down to a 2. I mean, it had moments of brilliance, but it wasn't a bad soundtrack though, It was good, it's just, I'll just give it a 3. I'll give it a 3, yeah.
Yeah, and then there was like other moments where like when they were playing Kiss,
That was very strange for me when he played
it's
that.
very strange. And
Yeah.
I thought like that would not that it would come up more, but like I thought it was gonna be like a character trait. Like they focused a lot on it, and then never ever again.
I think the movie for us, or at least for me, felt kind of. I feel like I know why I felt out of whack, because there was moments, especially in the characters, that they didn't grow at all, and then there was moments where like they became super comfortable, like that, like it
Yeah.
was crazy. And one of those moments was after Lee or Timothy Chalamet's character Lee is introduced in the film. He kind of doesn't want to talk to her, but then he listens to her. He's like, fine, you can come along. They go to that guy's house. He plays Kiss. And then he has this whole dance. And he gets comfortable just like that. I'm just like, where is the in between? And then he goes back to being him.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So I feel like they grew immediately. And then at
then
moments they were just
shrunk
like,
back up.
yeah. So maybe that's why I felt out of whack. But
Yeah.
sorry, that's what I was just thinking about when you were talking about
No,
it.
yeah, there's a lot of moments like that.
Yeah.
Same thing with like the moment with like the other eaters that they met in the camp. One was an eater, one was a cannibal.
Yeah, the cop.
The cop, yeah. It was just like, what is this for?
It was weird. It
Like
was
there
very
was.
weird.
I'm trying to think because there was like nothing that came out of that.
That was a cool horror film, though. horror film. That was a cool horror shot when they're dipping. They're dipping.
Oh yeah, and like he comes.
And the guy comes chasing them, and you realize that when he switches to the other shot, of the angle of them leaving, he wasn't even close. But he made it feel like he was about to get him. I was like, oh my God, that was so cool.
He's gonna run after the truck.
Yeah, that was a very cool
like,
moment.
Nothing after that.
Yeah.
Other than like.
Or before. Really.
Yeah, and it was just like I don't know. They were just like having a moment, and then all of a sudden, it's like, "Oh, we saw you here.
Yeah.
Thought you want some Budweiser. Maybe Budweiser is sponsored the movie." And then they were like, "Maybe you need some the
You
king
gotta
of
add it.
the
You
king
gotta
of
add
beers,
it.
Budweiser." You
Yeah.
know, and so they look dirty as hell. Brand new case of Budweiser. It looked clean as fuck. It looked like it was like a collection item. You know, it was weird.
Like collection. Jesus.
And so
We collect Budweisers.
yeah.
That's crazy.
And so, it didn't really do anything. Like it didn't go
Yeah,
anywhere
I see what
at
you mean.
all.
Okay, so we'll just keep it at a 3. Because it had moments of genius, and I think it's a 2, but I think because those moments of brilliance that the movie did have with the soundtrack, it boosted it up to a 3.
Yeah, because it was like it was good. Like it was never intended to be like a super creative like movie in terms of like sound. Like they didn't really need it per se.
Yeah.
But there were moments where like it enhanced it.
Yeah.
And so I would think it was good. And at some moments it was great. But overall it was just like, okay.
Yeah.
You know.
I got it.
So you gonna give it a 2?
No, I think it's, if it didn't have those moments of brilliance, it would have been a 2, but I think it's a 3.
Okay. Let's settle
Because it boosted it up for me, because I was like,
Okay.
wow,
Okay, 3 it is.
I think those moments worked. But yeah, 3 it is.
Cool.
Balance.
The acting, directing, screenplay,
See,
writing.
this is a
all-
kind of a tricky one because it felt like it was all balanced, but it wasn't greatly in the sense, like if you, in the true context of what we're thinking, like yeah, everything was kind of like, I don't want to say bland, but
Yeah.
it kind of in that plane. So I don't know. It was well balanced within everything that happened within the movie. So I guess it's a 5. You know what I mean? For me.
It's a 5 for you, the balance?
I think so, because there wasn't, like, I can't really not give it a 5 because everything kind of is at the same level. So it's very well balanced. Because in other movies, sometimes we have like, we're going back to Blade Runner
I don't think that's
2049.
what it means, though. Is that what balance means?
Well, I always
Because we wanted something where like that would wrap up like the acting ability, technical abilities, right? The
Yeah.
acting abilities, the directing abilities.
yes,
and
but
like
balance
that.
within itself, you know.
I get it,
and that's what
yeah,
I'm saying.
but,
Like in Blade Runner 2049, it had great visuals and then great acting, but the story was kind of, you know, so it wasn't well balanced. But this
Yeah, but
movie
that
in
goes into
relation,
that goes into like story and.
right? But this movie in relation with itself, I feel was well balanced. Like at no
I
moment.
get it. Yeah, if you talk about balance, but like I thought, no. The thing is,
What are we talking about?
when we made the category of balance, it wasn't as a balance of like where is the movie balance against itself. It was more like
I think it
where
was.
where was like the directing, the acting, the thing. Like where do we put that? Because we can't just have a category for all of those. And so like I get that the balance, but like I wouldn't give this, like in terms of balance, I wouldn't give this a 5. Like I get like if the movie is shit all around, you're not gonna give it a 5.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? On a
Look,
category,
Guadagnino, I don't
just
think your movie was
because
shit. I
It's
don't think your
it's
movie
shitty
was
here
shit.
and it's shitty there. Like it's not. There's
Yeah.
like equals amounts of shit. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't. I don't know. I feel like that's a fucked up category if that's the case. You know.
Bro, I'm trying to get a job as an actor, Luca Guadagnino. Your movie's not shit, man. It's amazing.
No, not him. Not this movie, but like just like in that term, because like I don't think that the directing was very, very good, and it's not because of him. It's 'cause he was trying something new, right? And I don't think that the acting was very good either because it wasn't. To me, it wasn't that film. Like it's not that film, bro. Like it's not.
Yeah.
Like you're not. It's not that kind of film to be acting that way. And so like, not just because it was like. I don't think it was bad, but like I don't think like I would give this a 5 in terms of like technical ability of everybody involved. You know, the screenplay where it was like going back and forth between horror and and romance and like not really sticking to one or not mixing them well. That to me that doesn't deserve a 5 because then it also didn't. The acting in terms of like romance and horror didn't mix too well, or because of directing of horror. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
to
I know
me, it
what you
doesn't make
mean. That's why I'm
sense.
kind of stuck in between because I did mean it in the way of like balance within itself, but
Oh, I
if we're
didn't.
mixing it with the sense of that where
I would say like technical ability to me is more because the balance. That's what the rating is. At the end of the day, the rating is what the balance is. Like our like that's what all these categories are for, right? Because like the story, the visuals, the audio, you can tell the balance off of that. You don't have to like have a separate score for it.
yeah, I'm trying to blend both. I mean,
You get what I'm saying?
yeah, I mean it's that's what I'm saying. Like technically, if we're going based off of that definition of balance for what I was saying in the beginning,
Uh huh.
it is a 5. But
Yeah, but like the hottie and the naughty, that is a horrible movie all around.
the what?
The hottie and the naughty.
It
It's with
looks.
Paris Hilton.
It
is
sounds bad.
fucking horrible.
It sounds bad.
Guess what? It was very well balanced. It was very well balanced because the writing was shit, the acting was shit, the directing was shit, the cinematography was shit, everything was shit.
That's crazy.
So balance of 5.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay, well, I'll try to like give it an in between.
Technicality or the technical ability.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Or the talent.
I want to
I
say
think
something between a 2.2 and a 3, so 2.5 maybe.
Yeah,
2.5, right?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Because it's not a movie that is.
It's not a bad
it's not a
movie, but
bad
it's not a
movie. It's
movie
not a
that you're
great
gonna be
movie.
like, I love this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
2.5, 2.5.
Okay.
I'm so sad.
We'll rework that section and we'll see what we can.
No, I think I think we worked it now. I think I know what you
Okay,
mean. And yeah,
cool.
we're on the same page. Okay.
Rewatchability, right? Is that next?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. You want to do it? You want to say it?
Rewatchability.
So hot. I think the rewatchability, I think would be a 1 for me.
Yeah, it's a 1, bro.
I would watch it. Like Kim said, Kim, I asked you this question, if we would watch it again. And so like, I would watch it if somebody else wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
And like they hadn't seen it before. And we're like, okay.
And you
we'll see
wanted to
it.
know their thoughts or something.
Yeah. And so like, sure, we'll rewatch it.
Yeah.
But would I watch it by myself? Would I watch it with Kim again? Probably
No.
not.
Yeah, I agree. It's a 1. It's definitely a rewatchable movie in the sense of it's not a heist movie. It's not a spoiler movie. Kind of. Oh, like it's definitely the journey.
Yeah.
So I can't not give it a 1, or at least 1 point basically, because it's not completely unrewatchable.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Yeah.
definitely not a movie. Like I'm like The Menu. When I watched that film or Call Me by Your Name, I was like, I just want to watch this again. Like there's
Yeah.
movies that you're like, I want to watch again,
Live
and
that
I don't
experience
like rewatching movies. Like I'm very harsh on I guess this specific score.
Kim is like that too.
I don't like
Kim is
rewatching
like,
movies.
we watched a movie like 3 years ago, and we're like, why do you have that? We're like, why do you have that in your list? If you're gonna, we already watched it. I was like, well, maybe I want to rewatch it. Like that's.
No, there's people like that, and I
yeah, there's people
understand.
like that.
Yeah, but we'll watch a movie and then a week later you watch it again. I'm just like, we just watched it.
Yeah, see, I don't like that.
Oh, I like that because
It has to
then-
be a very good movie. Like Cha Cha Real Smooth when I watched and even then, like the second time I watched it was for the podcast. And I've been wanting to rewatch it, but I just don't.
I rewatched it like right away. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
I
watched
know.
it with you that day, and then I went home and I watched it with Kim, and I don't regret it at all because to me I was like, oh, I found out shit that I didn't really find out
Yeah.
in the first one, and I was like, I want to relive it again, and that was great, and it was great. I feel like the sooner that you rewatch something, the more stuff you catch, because then like it's fresh on your mind, right? And so like that.
Yeah, but I
thing-
think it's because you look for movies to catch, and I don't necessarily watch movies to catch. I watch movies because I
Oh,
like
I
the
do,
way it
yeah.
makes me feel. Like Call Me by Your Name. Like I love the way that movie
yeah.
makes me feel, so that's why I watch it.
I watch movies again for like Easter eggs and like for
Yeah, I don't do that.
for like directing, the directing
Yeah.
movies like.
But this has been the
if
thing.
You know that this is where this is going. Like, how are you gonna shoot it beforehand?
Yeah, but
you know?
that's how we've been though. Like if anybody knows us, It's like you are the technical side. It's like
Yeah.
you figure like even with our workspace right now, like we work at the university. There's photographers there, and they ask you for the technical advice. What camera should I get? What lens should I get?
Yeah.
Because you know all that stuff, and that's
Yeah.
like you're a junkie for that. Like you want all that stuff. You need to know it. And I'm more the artsy side. Like I need to know how it's making me feel. What is this conveying? Like why did he think, or why did he do that to her, or like something in that film? You know, it's like that's why I felt so personally like about when she left him. Like how do you leave him in the truck like that?
Yeah.
And then you know what was the worst part about that? Is he
What?
comes out. Like he showed him coming out and like basically going through a whole fucking thing, screaming for her. He didn't have to put that in there.
No.
He just wanted to break my fucking heart
Yeah.
to watch Timothy Chalamet go through that. I was like,
It's went the
unbelievable.
wrong way too.
Yeah, he was going the wrong way. He
I
was
thought
going.
y'all could smell each other. What the fuck?
That is true. That is true. Damn.
So that don't even make sense. in the
She
story.
got mud, bro, and she started rubbing that shit. You know, she knows. She knows. Anyways, but
Now I got one more question for you. Is
Okay.
there just something about this movie that you like?
wait, isn't there one more category
No,
before
that's
that?
it.
Just something about it.
Just about it.
Ah.
Because to me, absolutely not. There's nothing about this
That's
movie
the
that I
thing,
really
it's-
watch or that I like.
I don't want to
Oh, even though this movie was bad, I love. You know what? There is something about him trying. There's
That's the
something
thing.
about
There's
him trying.
something. There's something where it's like, because even if I think about the movie, I'm just like, I don't want to give up on it. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
So it's like it's hard for me to give it no points because
Same
there
thing
is
with, like-
something about
yeah.
it. There is that makes
about
you
the concept and
about
like
the concept, and it makes you
the
want to.
overall. Yeah. Like Kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope was a great concept in terms of like
Yeah.
the way you tell a story. It didn't live up to it. It didn't. It didn't do it justice, and like I didn't think it even tried. I really think that Kaleidoscope was shot, and then it was just like, you know, what would be cool with this movie. You can really watch it anytime. You know, you can watch it however you want.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, let's just split them up. You know, like to me, that wasn't a very good way to go about it. It wasn't a good execution. I feel like it was a little lazy, right?
Okay.
But I did think that like if somebody figures this out, it would be so cool. It would actually be cool.
I think for me, there is something about it because I think there's something about the director. You know what I mean? Like something about his films makes you feel a certain way.
Okay.
And even though this didn't necessarily get there, I don't know. And you're not really like this, but maybe Kim, did you feel anything with like the characters? Like it made you feel you didn't really feel anything, or made you want more? I don't know. There's something about like
Oh, no.
everything for me that was together. It's like it didn't work.
Can I be honest? Yeah, can I be honest? I don't think they had a really good chemistry.
Oh no, they didn't have chemistry. They did
No.
not have chemistry. There was a scene that I'm not gonna say, but I was like, okay.
What happened?
Oh no, I'm not talking about it.
Talk about it.
Nope.
Was he jerking it off in the when he was jerking that guy off at the
Oh, that was crazy. That was one crazy ass. And then that was so disturbing to watch.
Yeah.
Because not necessarily what was going on, but just like you could see him pull out the knife and then go around
Yeah,
and then
he
go. And I'm
was
just like,
like,
oh my
hand
God.
on the
It's like,
You're about to come, you're about
could it be?
here you go.
It's like, I even thought about it. I was like, wow. You know, also, one thing also that's very weird. Is skin really that stretchy? Because he was
I
pulling
don't
that
know,
thing like
kid.
string cheese, man.
Yeah,
or
I was
like
thinking
like
about
melted
it.
cheese.
It
I
looked was-
was-
like it was very chewy.
right? I was
Yeah.
like, there's no way it's that
Yeah.
it's that flexible.
That's not.
I don't know.
Ask Armie Hammer, maybe. Sorry.
Jesus
The
Christ.
first one though, the first one did look real. Whenever she ate the finger,
Yeah.
I was like, the
That
way
was-
that thing just slid.
that
off.
was fucking terrifying.
Ooh, that was.
And you know what
disgusting.
was the most terrifying thing about that? That at no moment did she break and was like she was in such a trance, sexualizing it, and it was so sensual, and she just loved everything about that moment. And there was chaos going around it, and then I'd look at her, and it's like watching a baby sleeping.
Yeah.
I was like, that is. So I understand why you love the opening because it was
Speaking of
it was
babies.
so mind blowing.
Speaking of babies, and this is another reason why I thought this was gonna be like really good. When the dad was talking about the first time that she did it, she was talking about the babysitter, and she
Yeah.
was like, and then I went to you, and you were just like sleeping, and I thought you were dead, and then I pulled out like a little piece of like skin,
Oh, yeah.
from your mouth, and it had a hole in it, almost like if where an earring would go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, as the earlobe. And then the dad was like, "Thank God she wasn't wearing any, or maybe you would have choked." And I was like, "That was cool. That was a cool moment, you know. Like that was like a good little piece of like a little nibbit of like
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, I
you
see
know?
what you're saying. That was also that when he's saying that, that was also in that bus scene I was talking about earlier.
Yeah,
She was in that bus, and then that's when we got that shot.
yeah.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And wasn't Sully at the bus stop?
Well, that was so fucking scary to watch too. When she turns around and he's right there,
Yeah,
he was like, oh, I was like, oh my god, he felt
Yeah.
so hurt.
yeah.
I'm like, bro, maybe she just. Oh my god! And then the first time we were introduced to them eating, besides like them like in there, not like when she eats the finger, because we're still at that point.
No,
like,
no,
what
no.
the fuck's going on?
Like
I'm
a
talking
full
about
feast.
yeah, the full feast, and the lady's laying there, and she's coming out from waking up from the. She's in a room basically by herself, and she wakes up and she comes out, and Sully's ass is up in the fucking air.
Yeah,
I was like, this is such a disturbing
yeah,
thing to watch right now. It was.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only it wasn't really horror for me. It felt more disturbing than anything, just in various parts of the movie. So look, hey, if you like movies that you feel disturbed in, watch it. But it's definitely like, wow. Like,
Just wait to watch that one movie. What was it called, Kim? See No Evil.
God.
See No Evil. Speak No
Speak
Evil.
no evil. Oh yeah, see no evil with Kane.
Oh yes.
Speak.
Kane
See No
movie.
Evil is the one with Kane. Sorry, nobody gets when I said that. It was-
I feel like I know what you're talking about, but I can't. I think
remember
you
that
showed
big
it to
fat
me
guy
before.
that used to be like their like manager?
No,
His name is Paul Bearer. He used
I
to have
think
like
you-
dark eyes. Or
I
whatever.
think you definitely told me about this story, and I don't
Okay.
remember.
Yeah,
I'm so
but that
sorry.
motherfucker just go like, Kane.
This reminds me of the Miss Universe meme that keeps going around with France.
Oh
Yes.
my God, you see it?
France.
That poor lady, bro.
Yeah. Hey, you know, it'd be like that sometimes. Props to her, but that was
Yeah.
crazy.
Okay, so just something about it. What would you give it out of 10? Just for trying.
Just for, I mean, I don't want to. I mean, we gave the menu a 2, so. But I think this had more something about it than the menu. I don't know why.
You think so?
I think so. Yeah. I think the
I
menu.
think the only thing I can say about it is that he tried to do something new.
I want to.
That's the,
A part of me wants to give it a 1, but my heart wants to give it a 3.
we can give it a 3.
I go with a 3. I think
Let's
it
go with
did
a
have
3.
something. There's something about the film, to me that does work, and I don't know what it
Okay.
is.
So here's the thing. We line up pretty much with the audience score. We're at
Really?
64%.
64%. Wow.
We're
That's
one
the
with
closest we've
people.
been, right? Last time we didn't even get close to that.
Oh, no.
What was
we've
the
been
menu? Do you
over
remember?
100 last time. Huh?
Do you remember what the menu was?
No. We'll have
Okay,
to
we're
go
gonna
back.
have to spreadsheet this because
We have a spreadsheet. We just don't fill it in.
well,
It also does all the math for us,
great.
but we don't have a laptop yet. So we'll figure it out. We'll
Not
figure
that we don't have a laptop, we just didn't.
No, we just don't plug it in. That's the point. Yeah. So,
Jesus.
so what a movie. It was a movie.
It was an experience.
It was an experience. I would say the ending of the movie was the best part. I think the
Oh.
beginning and end of the movies were the best part.
I
think
gotta
everything
say-
in between you could skip. You could just go there. No, I'm just kidding. No, but for real, like the beginning of the movie was a fucking was a ride, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I was here for it. The ending of the movie had me on the edge of the bed. It was dope. It was cool.
Yeah. 2 things.
Yeah,
The very, very ending, not the bed scene, but the very, very ending
when they were hugging each other.
when they were hugging each other. I was like, is she having a baby? Is it? Because poor Timothy Chalamet, he's such a small guy, and I'm a small guy, so I understand. But he's like his frame is, I think, and he's so skinny. And she was hugging him from the back. And so I was like, from a distance, because it was so far. The shot was it was a zoom shot.
Yeah.
It was what is the name of those lenses?
Telephoto.
Telephoto lens. It was so far. I was like, is that Timothy Chalamet, or is that
A kid.
a kid?
toddler.
Is that a toddler? And does she
Yeah.
have a baby?
Yeah.
That's what I was
What did
thinking.
you see in the shots when he was like, eat me, and they were shooting like shots of the room? One of the shots was like a condom.
How was it?
Yeah. I was like, look at that used condom.
There was moments where I had to look away because I'm just like, what am I watching? You know,
Yeah.
so maybe I missed it because I'm just like, wow. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
It was. Oh, and 2, definitely it's an experience, and I think the way that the people in the restaurant for the menu would have felt just disturbed.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
It's an experience, and it's
It's
not
definitely
for
an
everybody.
experience.
It's all part of the plan. It's all part of the menu. Yeah, that's all I really got to say about it. I mean, it wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't necessarily great. It wasn't a masterpiece, and it wasn't one of my favorites.
We
And
were looking forward to watching it.
I was.
We had very high hopes for this movie.
Yeah.
And they didn't live up to our high hopes, but maybe they were a little bit unrealistic. Unrealistically high hopes. Because his first movie was a banger, right? Call Me By Your Name was a
I just
banger.
took when you see that's a problem, you know, when you attach names like when you see Timothy Chalamet and Luca Guadagnino, and you're like, here comes another one.
Yeah, you know what? And like, this is a very unpopular opinion that we've talked about it at length before. I feel the same way about Jordan Peele, where like,
Oh, okay, yeah.
I love Get Out, and I don't think this was Us. I don't think Us was very good, and
I thought it was
think
good.
that Nope was better, but it still wasn't Get Out.
Okay, so this is a perfect example. Because Jordan Peele for me, like those something about it, I wouldn't give those movies any something about it. Like they're great movies. They're well done. They hit the horror points, like everything. It makes you feel uneasy. But there's something missing, like an emptiness to me. And this
Really?
movie didn't. But I think it could be like just different directing. Like I feel like something tied this movie together, and there was some sort of heart in it. You know what I mean? And those movies don't have that for me, but this does, and that's why I give it a something about it. Like why I gave it the points I did for this movie, even though I think Get Out is better than this film. You know.
100%.
So I just don't know, but there's something, at least for me, that I feel was missing. And this movie made me feel like it was missing a lot of things, but there's one thing in there, like a small strand of something that ties everything together, and I don't know what it is.
I think that's with a lot of independent films, right? A lot of
Yeah.
independent films have that heart to it, where like it's not like the super polished piece of like cinema, you know? And
Yeah.
there's still like some leftover of like art and heart, other words. And so like I think that I get it because like it does like Get Out is, I think it's a great movie, but yeah, it feels like a Hollywood movie. You know, it doesn't feel like
You think so?
Yeah.
I think it feels in between. So I get what you're saying, kind of.
No,
But
I
not
feel
really.
like I don't buy that there's not catering in the other room. I don't buy that there's like that it's a 2 people crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something about independent films where you're like, oh, that was like a group of 6 people just filming in a room and like getting these raw emotions. But then there's like other scenes where like with the bigger movies, where it's like, yeah, there's a fucking village outside of this house watching every little thing, and like they'll take something out if it's not perfect. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah, I mean, for this film, I guess I'll mention that scene. I won't say much about it, but the scene when they come out of the psych ward and they're in the truck. Or sorry, no, they're not in the truck. They're right outside the truck and they're in that field.
and they're arguing.
That felt like when I was in high school and I picked up a camera and I just placed the camera there.
Yeah.
It felt very amateurish. I don't know why.
There were a lot of shots like that.
I
There were a
don't know
lot of
why it
shots
felt
where
that
they
way.
just like placed the camera and like it had no direction, like no technical.
It felt almost unscripted, right? Like they were just like, this is what the scene's kind
Not
of
unscripted,
about.
just unblocked. Like it wasn't blocked, right? Or like there wasn't a lot of like they just like place the camera, like you said, place the camera there and then just shoot what's going on. I felt the same way at the beginning too, when like he was picking her up from the dad was picking her up from school, and the camera was just like half of it was the door, and the other half was the window where you can see the dad in, and it's just like, hey, come on, you drive or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And then like it cuts to a completely different angle, and like she's walking this way, and then you cut back to the same angle and she's walking from the other side. And it's just like that completely, it breaks 80 rules of cinema.
Yeah,
right
okay,
there.
yeah,
You know
I
what I
see what-
mean?
yeah,
And
I
it's
didn't
just,
really pay
it
attention
felt
much to that, but-
Very random, but I felt, and like those are the kind of shots that I'm saying were like, it's artsy for just art's sake.
Yeah,
you
she
know?
kind of
It's-
crosses, right? Because like the cameras are placed
Yeah,
in this
they're
in
they're
this
placed
direction and in
opposite.
this direction. So
Yeah.
yeah, I see what you're
And
saying.
she crosses that plane, and it's just like, and there's no reason to. You know what I mean? And so that's what I mean by like artsy for art's sake, where it's just like there's no reason for you to be breaking this rule right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just like you're trying to tell a story. You're establishing the story, and it doesn't do much by you breaking those rules. It just like throws it off. And so
Okay.
things like that in other movies, I feel like this one didn't do too bad of a job with it. Because
Yeah.
that was the only one that I saw that I was just like, what?
Did you like that shot when she's at the piano? It's the very beginning of the movie. And
When it
it's
just like pans,
yeah, it just goes.
the whip pan.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't bad. It didn't throw me off, but it was just like,
I liked it, but yeah, I didn't understand the purpose of it.
No.
But I did like it.
yeah.
And also, I will say again, like this movie's really good at misdirection sometimes
Uh-huh.
in certain aspects. And like I loved when like, cause I thought it was gonna be like a stereotypical runaway with the boyfriend kind of movie, and that's because also in the beginning, the girl's like, hey, when they're sitting at the piano, she comes and she's like, why don't you come over and have to our sleepover? It's like the other girls are coming, my parents aren't home or whatever. We'd like to have you because you want to make new friends. And she's like, my dad won't let me sleep over at anybody's house. And I'm just like, oh, here we go again with the fucking typical like
Strict dad.
strict dad, like all these fucking rules, like he doesn't want to blah blah blah. And like also I feel this movie was kind of shot, or it kind of like it wasn't in current times, right?
No, it was in the 70s.
It was in the 70s.
Yeah.
So like also like unconsciously like race comes into play in this film, because you're just like maybe like the dad's scared because like they're black and like all these other people are white, and so like I was thinking of all these things.
Yeah.
And then she goes home and she waits for her dad to go to sleep, and she goes to the sleepover, and she has this whole thing, and I'm like, okay. And then she eats her finger, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's why the dad didn't have it. So like it was good. It was good for me in misdirection because.
Yeah. I wish that moment with her in the piano had more weight. I wish that it had some kind of like a message that, and maybe it did, and I'm just not remembering, because that's the same piano that plays throughout the movie. It's like the same keys.
Yeah.
So like if it had more of a memorable message, and cut this out if the movie does do this, and we just didn't catch it, or like if it didn't, because if it had a more memorable message, that every time that piano plays, you're remembering that message, that would have been cool. Because you know the difference between diegetic and non-diegetic sound?
No.
So diegetic sound, and I may have this flipped. Diegetic sound is sounds that happen in the universe of the movie. Does that make sense? Us talking right now, that's diegetic sound.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
If there's like a soundtrack playing over us, that is non-diegetic. That's not in our universe.
Yeah.
It's not playing currently, right?
Yeah.
And so there are times like that one, another moment of brilliance, where like I thought that piano was non-diegetic. I didn't think that was happening in real time. But then you come back to her and she's the one playing the piano. Cool. If that moment would have had a lot more depth to it, if that moment, the dialogue would have had a message or something that like from there on out and the rest of the movie, every time that piano plays, you remember that message or you remember that moment, that would have been cool.
Right.
Because then that piano would have had a lot more importance throughout that entire movie. And so that movie would have had a little thread that ties it all together. You know what I mean? And so it's moments like that where like the elements are there, right? And like they just need to be tied together.
Yeah.
And like that tying of it together was what I think threw me off, because there was a lot of moments that just felt like loose. They just felt like they were up in the air. Her going to her mom's trying to figure it out for what? Doesn't matter. Fucking moment with the two cannibals. For what?
Yeah,
Didn't
I mean,
matter.
I understand.
Chase them down. For what? Are they going to come back and finish chasing her down? Nope. Didn't matter. You know what I mean? And so like
Yeah.
it's moments like that where I was like, if none of this matters, then why are we watching this?
Yeah, I feel even the Sully thing, like,
At least Sully came back.
He comes back, but the problem is that there's like no setup for like him ever chasing them, except maybe
Yeah.
like that shot I was talking about, where like maybe
His
that
reason-
shot was because.
Do you remember his reasoning? His reasoning was because she knew too much about him.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Like he didn't know too much about her.
But I don't think that was real. You know what I mean?
Then why put it? No, because at the moment he's being vulnerable.
Do
He's
you
like
remember-
He's
Yes,
showing
he
his
was
whole
vulnerable.
cards to her.
He was vulnerable and he was hurt, but not because she knew much about him. He wanted to kill her. I think he was just hurt, and that's what he told her. Does that make sense? Because I think the
No.
reason he wanted to kill her was because like, okay, well, yeah. I see what you're saying.
Like
Yeah,
at that
yeah,
point, like why would you lie to
Because-
her? Like if I'm killing somebody, I never would do that. I never will.
if this were to happen,
And like I knew that whatever I say to them is not going anywhere. I'll be 100% truthful with them, right?
but I think part of him didn't want to kill her. I think part of him wanted to.
And I
convince
agree.
her to
I agree
stay.
with that, too.
Because remember, he lays on her, and that's the key to like that whole thing. Like, and that's why I don't think it's a sexual thing. I don't think he's attracted to her in any way. I think it's almost like
Like a motherly.
a motherly thing. Like he
Uh-huh.
says it like you could be my daughter's age, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I don't even think it's that. Like I think literally it's because like he's looking for like somebody to take care of him
Mm-hmm.
and somebody to just be there, because the way he lays on her is so. It's so not sexual and so not there's
It's like
no
nurture.
feelings. It's a nurture thing,
Mm-hmm.
and he needs somebody there.
Yeah.
And I think for me that's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's why he's like, I don't think he truly wants to kill her. That's why it's like, I think he's trying to hurt her, because I'm thinking about that scene when she leaves Lee, and he comes out, and then he's trying to convince her to come, and she's like, I'm not going because I don't trust you, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And he's like, you fucking cunt. It's almost like he's a child again,
Yeah.
you know? He's all like, fuck you. He's all like, I dried next to you.
Uh-huh.
Is that what he said? I dried next to
I
you.
tried next to you, yeah.
And he's talking about like, he took a shower, right? And he like dried.
I don't
next
even fucking know.
I don't know what he really meant by that, but I was
Yeah.
like, maybe he means like, did he say dried or dined? I think it's
Dried.
Dried, right?
I had subtitles on.
I'm thinking
He
maybe.
said dried.
I'm thinking maybe he like showered and it didn't show it in the film. I'm thinking maybe he showered, and the door was open and he just dried in front of her because he felt so comfortable. But we didn't see that.
Uh-huh.
But maybe dried means something else, and we're fucking idiots.
Maybe, yeah, maybe because I was. Not
I
gonna
don't
lie.
know, but-
Okay, I watched this movie after the Cowboys game against the Bucks. Go Cowboys! And I was fucking sleepy. And Kim, you can attest to this. I was falling asleep at some points, right? And
Yeah, I
that,
get
at
that.
that very beginning of like her introducing to Sally, I don't feel like I missed anything important. I feel like I would have slept through half the movie, would have missed anything important. But I don't feel like I missed anything important. And so like I don't remember. I was like, oh, maybe he dried off and like something about the blood and it's very personal to him or whatever. I don't care. At that point, I didn't really care. But like at least Sully was recurring. At least Sully came back and did something.
Yeah.
You know?
But it was so disconnected because like there was,
was-
never an undertone of like she's
But
being
it
chased.
was something. It was it was the one thing
Yeah.
that paid off. You know, not paid off, but like
It
got
was
closed.
something, bro. Let me fucking have it.
It was the one circle that actually
Closed,
closed.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like that to me was like, okay, at least there was one thing that actually, like one thread to the story that got cut off and like actually ended. You know?
Yeah, I
But
get what you
everything
mean.
else wasn't. And so like
I get what you mean.
so yeah, so this movie wasn't horrible. I don't regret watching it. I wish there was more, and I wish it went in a different direction,
Yeah.
and it was handled differently. But let me know what happens whenever you read the book. Like I really
I
am
will.
interested in seeing what the differences are.
Yeah, and again, like I think for me, it tied when I was watching. I was like, maybe this is like a new take on vampires. Cause Twim, have you seen Twilight?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so. Did you read all the books and everything?
I read like the first two.
Okay, but so I've never watched them or read them, but I think there's a part where they talk about to quench that
Thirst.
thirst to quench that whatever that thirst. What you said a word? You said a different word earlier.
The desire.
That desire. Oh my God, that's a great word. Sorry. To quench that desire. In Twilight, I believe they like, don't they drink like animal blood? Or am I tripping?
don't know. I know that I've seen like dead deers, but I think it's like the
Because it
bad
doesn't.
guys. I don't remember.
It's not. It doesn't satisfy them fully. I think, or maybe this is a different vampire thing, or I've heard something or something.
It's just a little snack.
But like, what it's. I think their preferred is like obviously human blood, but I think it's more of like like in order to like not be a fucking shitbag and kill people, like you have to eat animals, you know. So then I was like I was in that mindset, and then so remember in the beginning, Sully brings out the chicken,
Yeah.
and then he starts making this chicken and seasoning it. I'm like, oh my god! I'm like he's. To quench that thing, he's gonna eat this chicken, and then I'm just like, no, they're fucking human. She's gonna get salmonella. Like, and like I realized when like he's all like, this isn't your house, right? And he's like, no, and I'm like, why is he making that chicken though?
Yeah.
You know? Oh Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. Anyways, yeah, I was a little confused by the chicken. I don't know if he ended up making it, but in my head I was going to like, oh, like they're finding alternatives for that aspect of it. It's like, how can we?
It's like their version of being vegan.
Yeah. You know what's another thing too?
What?
It's called Bones and All. And she never eats bones and all. And neither does
My thing is like the day. Is that what she did at the end? Did she eat Timothy and Sully
I thought about that too.
at the end? But then like
I thought about that
they
too.
never say. They only say it once. And it was like bones and all. You don't know what bones and all is?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like it was just like, are you stupid? And you don't know what you
Yeah, it was kind of a cheesy little scene.
You haven't lived until you
Did
have bones and all.
Lee eat his whole dad?
No.
Because I remember in that scene, he's all like, I've never done that. But then we never really know if he ate his whole dad or what happened to his dad. Because he never says like, I ate part of him and then I put him over here.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. But yeah, it was weird.
But it didn't explain it.
It didn't explain
didn't
bones and
explain
all.
fully.
It didn't. Like you never. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe that's the thing about it. Maybe he did eat her, or sorry, maybe she ate him at the end. You know what I did not enjoy, but I was really appreciative of that he did not include that.
What?
He plays music at the end when she's eating him, and he's just fucking like screaming.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, thank God I'm not hearing that because
Yeah.
I was already at it was an uneasy
Uncomfortable,
feeling.
yeah.
It was uncomfortable. And so I was like, good for him for not adding that. Because, God, I don't think I could have taken that shit.
No, it's too much.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot. But
yeah,
bones and all, everyone.
that's bones and all. We gave it a 64% in terms of like our
64%.
scale. It is available to rent right now. We rented it.
It's available to rent. It's not available to buy it. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
the end of the year.
The
Or
rent
end
is-
of the year, the end of the month.
$22 to rent.
$22
this
to
movie.
rent. I'm kind of sad about it, but
That's a lot of.
it's a lot of money to rent. I would buy it. Like, it's okay. Like, I don't mind spending that on buying
But
it.
to
But to
rent
rent
it?
it, it's kind of
That's
crazy.
a lot of money. But
Yeah.
okay, the next movie we're gonna watch is a movie that we talked about. I think last week we talked a little bit
A little
about
bit
it.
about it.
The Whale with
Whale.
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser.
What a comeback!
I've heard.
What a
I've
comeback.
heard great things.
It was a.
I've
it
heard
was a
great
good
things.
one.
I'm excited to watch
We're gonna
it.
go watch it for the first time.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I've seen it. Kim saw it. And
I haven't watched
Gustavo
it.
haven't seen it.
But Kim said she cried her fucking eyes out.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to feel depressed.
Yes, and I have a lot to say about this movie. I loved it a lot. I can't wait to see it again.
I'm not gonna say depressed. I'm gonna say I'm excited to feel sad, guys.
It's so sad. Yeah.
Sad.
So we're gonna watch it. We're gonna try something different. We're gonna try to do the podcast straight from the car.
Yeah, straight from the car.
And so we'll try this out and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that was Bones and All. Next week is The Whale. Fucking go, see!